Yasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshuranitanjena Tasmai Sri Gurudev Namaha Sri Guru Gaur Gandharva Govinda Gringanaisaha Vande Prashadato Yesham Sarvaram Vishwavankara. So we are happily continuing with Sri Sri Prapanna-jivanamritam, and we have begun chapter 7, Atma-niksepah, full self-surrender. And yesterday we finished verse 11, so we'll go on to verse 12 today, which is by Jamunacharya. Atma-niksepah padati, the pathway to self-dedication. Aparada sahasra bhajanam patitam bhima bhavarnavodade agatim sharanagatam hare kripaya kevalam atmasat kuru. The perpetrator of thousands of offenses, fallen into the terrible ocean of material existence, I have no shelter but you. O Lord Hari, please graciously accept the surrendered soul as one of your own. The perpetrator of thousands of offenses, fallen into the terrible ocean of material existence, I have no shelter but you. O Lord Hari, please graciously accept the surrendered soul as one of your own. Atra kechid deharpanam evad marpanam iti manyate. Some consider bodily dedication to be self-dedication. Chintam koryan narakshayai vikritasya yatapasho tatarpayan haro deham viramed asya rakshanat. As one is indifferent to the upkeep of a souled animal, there will similarly be no cause to be concerned for the upkeep of one's body when it has been offered unto the lotus feet of Lord Hari. As one is indifferent to the upkeep of a souled animal, there will similarly be no cause to be concerned for the upkeep of one's body when it has been offered unto the lotus feet of Sri Hari. It's a very, very powerful expression. And this verse in particular, we've heard Gurudev and Srila Sri Maharaj, they've quoted this in a number of places. You know, it's expressing very high level of surrender, you know, like that level of detachment. You know, that just like if you have and of course this is like this example is it's a cultural example. You know, and you know you're keeping your cows or your horses or whatever, and you sell that, and then you don't think about it anymore. You know, that's it. Or whatever it may be, something of one's own property. You sell that, and you don't think about it anymore. You sell your car, or whatever it is. You sell your house. You don't think about it. It's not in the area of your consideration anymore. So in the same way, for one at such a high level of surrender, their own like bodily maintenance, that is something so far removed. You know, their own care, their own upkeep. You know, they're so, you know, beyond that. All of those, you know, what is necessary for them is automatically taking place by the Lord's care. And, you know, this is expressing a very high level of surrender, but you know, we can understand that to the extent that we trust in the Lord's care and the Lord's protection, and let go of making these arrangements for ourselves, then to that extent we will receive that, actually. You know, it's actually a question of our own faith. As we let go of thinking, you know, this is I, me, and mine, I need to do this for myself, the more we move away from that, the more we'll actually begin to experience the reality of that, you know, higher care, being under the shelter of the Lord. And you know, it's not something that we will imitate. That's also important. And we experienced with Gurudev, he definitely encouraged us to be, you know, practical. You know, not to, you know, be, you know, sentimental or unrealistic, or like there were a few occasions I know of when devotees they gave everything to Gurudev to the point where they didn't have anything, and then Gurudev like actually gave them money. Yeah. Divya Shakti told me of an experience like that, and also Ishabandhu from Divya Shakti. I think she'd given everything to Gurudev, and then she was leaving, and she didn't have anything. She like didn't have money for the taxi or something like that, or something that she needed. She literally had just given everything to Gurudev, and then she actually went to Gurudev, and he gave to her, and then with Ishabandhu, he was what happened is he had like he'd given everything to Gurudev, but then what happened is he overstayed his visa by like a day or something, so he had to pay this fine at the airport, and he didn't have a penny on him. So Gurudev gave him like this huge amount of money, to cover everything, and teased him a little bit, and so Gurudev, he's mentioned, like at least like keep something that you need, to take care of yourself, But at the same time, we appreciate this kind of ideal, and we hear some extreme examples of the Vaishnavas being just utterly beyond the experience of their body, and like there's one story of, maybe it's Vamsidas Babaji, that he was an avadut, he was a Paramahamsa avadut, and he just lived beyond any consideration of normal behavior and normal rules, regulations. He was just living in that mood of Ragamar, in Vrindavan. And there's one story of him where he was in this his mood, I think it's Vamsidas Babaji. He had some mood of Sakya Ras, some mood of friendship. And he was, I think he was like running after Krishna. He was in this mood, he was running after Krishna and Balaram. And he climbed up a tree, like chasing after them. And then he fell out of the tree and broke his back. But he didn't even notice. He was just so beyond the conception of his body. Like, it didn't even like register for him. So, we hear some extreme examples of that, And you understand like how, like you hear how the 6 Goswamis lived in Vrindavan, like basically on nothing, drinking some buttermilk, sleeping under a tree, and like how is that possible? Because they're living on something else. They're living in consciousness of another plane. So how can one live in this type of consciousness? How can one have such an extreme degree of detachment? Only because of their immersion in the higher plane. It's not that they're just, removing from the negative side, or that one is just indifferent to their body, but it's because they're so deeply, situated in that higher plane. They're so deeply in consciousness of that higher plane. So, not something to be imitated. But, we worship this, and we can experience, I can say for myself, I experience in my life in a tangible way, how I'm just dependent, like, on what the Lord gives me, and actually everything comes, I don't have, my, retirement plan, don't have, savings, don't have regular income or anything like that, but just, I experience, what I need, it comes, and that's how I'm living. So, it's something that we can experience, to some extent, And we know that care is coming from the higher plane. Gunatita Shuddha Kshetra Gyasyaiva Samarpitatvo Palabdi. This is a very nice verse. The transcendental, pure soul's realization of his capacity to offer himself unto the Lord. The transcendental, pure soul's realization of his capacity to offer himself unto the Lord. And this prayer is by Jamunacharya. Vapuradishu yopi kopi va gunatosani yatata vida tadaham tava pada padmayor aham vadyaiva maya samarpitaha. However I may be materially designated, however my character may be known, now, O Lord, this whole sense of ego is offered by me unto your holy lotus feet. However I may be materially designated, however my character may be known, now, O Lord, this whole sense of ego is offered by me unto your holy lotus feet. It's so wonderful. Because, we all have like our acquired ego, artificial acquired sense of who we are. And then also, and this is so nice, however my character may be known. So many people may think of us in so many different ways. We may be known in many different ways. People will understand us in many different ways. So there, and it's all false. That false conception of who we are and that false conception that others may consider us to be, it's all false, actually. It has nothing to do with who we don't know who we really are. We just don't know. So like this moment of clarity is being expressed here. Like this recognition of this distinction between, who I think I am, what I know myself to be, how others know me. I'm offering this all to you. This whole sense of ego is offered by me unto your holy lotus feet. And then from that point, begin. Whatever. There's a really nice quote of Srila Sridhar Maharaj where he says, like whatever types of anarthas we've acquired, through so many lifetimes, whatever we have that we're dealing with, from that point we need to begin. We need to start making our march towards the absolute truth, like that. And superficially it will appear that some are more of an advantage than others, maybe, some are more sattvic or whatever. But actually, we're all like at the same level, really. We all have our particular, collection of, stuff that we have to deal with. But the point is that we just have to begin, begin to make that approach and not to get too bewildered by all the things taking place in the objective world. As a result of our particular, brand of ego, we've created a particular environment and a particular experience. And so we have to recognize it for what it is and see past that, not to allow our heads to get too spun out, by whatever issues we're facing as a result of our concocted ego. But from that point to, otherwise we're like living in this world of action and reaction, and we're just getting more and more entangled in the world of our own ego. So we need some element of detachment to see past that and to act according to some higher principle, according to spiritual principles. And then we will become free. since time immemorial I've had this pattern of behavior, and I'm inviting this particular reaction, and it's all just like cycling and cycling, getting deeper and deeper. And now I need to like take a step back and recognize it for what it is and let it play out, and then it will leave me. That disturbance will leave me, and I can go deeper into the plane that is substantial, that matters. We'll become purified if we can, remove ourselves from all these tendencies. This expression is so beautiful, and it's also like inviting that nature of being an instrument of the Lord, like Gurudev, he expressed very beautifully how when he goes to see Lord Jagannath, then it's like he's presenting himself, and he said, "I am here, sir. You can see me. I can't see you, but you can see me. You can see me, all my good and all my bad, and you can make me what you want me to be. I have all this concocted thing going on, and you can recognize that, and you can make me what you want me to be." It's a beautiful mood of self-offering. I'm this whole thing, this whole acquired thing. But you can change that. You can make me what you want me to be. You can see what I can be. Srila Gurudev would say, I'm just like a lump of mud or clay, and you can shape me however you want to shape me. You can make, he says in one place, you can make a deity or you can make a dog. You have that power. So I'm here before you. You please take me, use me, make me. And that's so powerful. And as the result of that type of self-offering, the most miraculous things can happen. We'll be astonished at what is possible. This is Rukmini Devi's prayer. Atmarpanasya Jishtanta. An example of offering oneself. Tanme bhavan kalurita patir angajayam admarpitas cha bhavato cha vibho videhi ma virabhagam abhimarshatu chaidya adad koma yuvan mrigapatir balamambujaksha. O lotus-eyed Lord, I have selected you as my husband, and I offer myself unto you. Therefore, please come and take me as your wife before Shishupal, like the jackal plundering the lion's prey, suddenly touches me, who am to be enjoyed by you alone. I'm your property. Please claim me as your own property before anyone else does. Tatra sudahankarasya parichaya samrider abhivyakti. The vivid revelation of the treasure within the identity of pure ego in self-dedication. The vivid revelation of the treasure within the identity of pure ego in self-dedication. This is Paranguru Maharsh's line. And this is interesting because normally this word ahankar, we use it in a negative sense, but here Paranguru, and I don't think I've seen this anywhere else, Paranguru Maharsh uses this expression shuddha ahankar, which means pure ego. The pure ego, the pure identity of being, servant of the Lord. And this verse here, this is a very famous verse, and this is another verse which is said to have been written by Mahaprabhu. One of one or two, very few, other than the Shikshashtakam, which directly came from him. And this verse, Gurudev quoted so many times. It's so beautiful, so helpful. It's expressing a very broad idea, which anyone can appreciate. Naham vipro nachanara patir napi vaisho na shudro naham varni nacha griha patir no vanasto yatir va kintu prodyan nikla paramananda purnamrita der gopi bartu padakamala yor dasa dasa nudasa. So here Mahaprabhu, he's going through so many designations within the Varnashram, social system of India, and saying, that's not who I am, that's not who I am, that's not who I am. And here in particular, we can mention, in particular it's mentioning, because this is, within the context, being expressed within the context of Vedic India, right? So Mahaprabhu is expressing all these things which are very relevant, in that time. But we can, in a broader sense, we can say it means any designation drawn from this world, that I'm American, that I'm Australian, that I'm British, that I'm Irish, that I'm African, that I'm French, or whatever, and that I'm rich, that I'm poor, that I'm female, that I'm male, that I'm black, that I'm white, that I'm Chinese, that I'm ugly, that I'm... all of these designations that we identify with, they have nothing to do with who we are, actually. So I am not a priest, a king, a merchant, or a laborer, Brahmin, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, nor am I a student, a householder, a retired householder, or a mendicant, brahmachari, grihasta, vanaprastha, sannyasi. I identify myself only as the servant of the servant of the servant of the lotus feet of Sri Krishna, the Lord of the Gopis, who is the personification of the fully expanded, eternally self-revealing nectarian ocean that brims with the totality of divine ecstasy. I'm just the servant of the Lord. And what type of Lord? Which Lord? That beautiful Lord of the Gopis of Vrindavan, that loving, most loving expression of the Absolute. Naham vipro nachanara patir napi vaisho na shudro naham varni nacha griha patir no vanasto yatirva kintu prodyan nikila paramananda purnamrita der gopi bartu padakamala yor dasa dasa dasa.
It's pretty far.
It is. It's a wonderful verse. And these verses, they're like encouraging us to like really think about like who are we actually, all these things that we identify with, on a day-to-day basis in quite a strong way, like kind of like a wake-up call, and that self-discovery, it will only happen through self-offering, by making that approach to the Lord. Through Sharanagati, through Atma-nivedam, Atma-niksepah. O Padika Dharma Sambandha Chedascha. All connection with formal religion is severed. So this is like another level of development. Even those things which in the beginning are supporting your God, the development of your God consciousness, that framework. In the beginning, those things will be helpful, promoting your development of God consciousness, Krishna consciousness. But at a certain stage, those things will inhibit that, and they must be let go. To the point where all connection with formal religion is severed. It will just become a natural expression of the heart, natural flow of devotion. O Padika Dharma Sambandha Chedascha. All connection with formal religion is severed. And And this prayer is very significant for us because this was Gurudev's meditation. Srila Gurudev's, our most beloved Gurudev, Srila Bhakti-Sundar Govindadev Goswami Maharaj, as he was leaving this world in the maybe like 1 week, 2 weeks before, maybe 1 month before, but in that last period, Gurudev started, reflecting on this verse, repeatedly chanting this verse, and this verse by Madhavan Japuri, and he requested it be put on his wall. So it was printed out. So the people typed it out, and they printed it and put it on Srila Gurudev's wall, so he was able to see it there, all the time, and repeatedly chanting this verse. And it is expressing this, that all these things which formerly I was strictly following so much now, and it's expressing a prayer for forgiveness, which is very significant. It's not like there's some ego. Oh, now I don't need these things anymore. But if there's this apology, please forgive me. I can't follow all these things anymore. My heart's being pulled to some higher thing now, and forgive me. And I feel I can get everything through that. Forgive me. I can't do this and do that and all these other things which I was doing and normally I'm supposed to do. And we heard from Srila Goswami Maharaj. There's one place where he's discussing this, how Gurudev was chanting this, and he said there was one occasion when someone visiting Srila Gurudev was chanting that verse, and then when someone asked Gurudev, what is the meaning, or like, why are you chanting this, or something like that, and Gurudev told her, ask Goswami Maharaj. and Goswami Maharaj, he said that Gurudev's expression was that, or Gurudev's position was that whatever could be gotten by following all these things, he's already got, and so now he doesn't need to follow them anymore. And Gurudev wouldn't say that himself, and so Goswami Maharaj, he explained that, So this is the verse, and it's a very beautiful verse. Sandhya Vandana Bhajam Astu Bhavato Bosnana Tubhyam Namo Bodeva Pitarash Chatarpana Vido Naham Kama Kamyatam Yatra Kapi Nishadya Jadava Kulotam Sastyatam Sadvisha Smaram Smaram Agam Harami Taralam Manye Kim Anyena Me. O morning, noon, and evening prayers, may all good be unto you. O daily ablutions, my respects unto you. O demigods, O forefathers, may you forgive me. I cannot follow the injunctions to offer you libations. Wherever I may be, I shall eradicate my sins. Constantly contemplating that jewel of the Yadu dynasty, the slayer of Kamsa, and I think this is sufficient for me. What more could I ever want than this? O morning, noon, and evening prayers, may all good be unto you. O daily ablutions, my respects. This, English is very old-fashioned, but like bathing. Because, we can't really relate, but in the Vedic culture, bathing is like a very sacred thing. It's like it can be a whole affair, with chanting mantras, and it's a thing. So it's not like, oh, just take a shower, it's not like that. So the washing or cleansing, I have a note here, washing or cleansing the body especially is part of a religious rite. So, O daily ablutions, my respects unto you. O demigods, O forefathers. And these are also like, you know, like very important elements of the Vedic practice. You know, the worship of the forefathers, the ancestors, worship of the devas. These are like fundamental things, you know, in the Varnashram system. May you forgive me. I cannot follow the injunctions to offer you libations. Libations means liquid offering. Wherever I may be, I shall eradicate my sins, constantly contemplating that jewel of the Yadu dynasty, the slayer of Kamsa. And I think this is sufficient for me. What more could I ever want than this? Madhavan report. Alokika bhavodari lokika vichada tuchatvam. Awakening of divine affection for Krishna proves worldly opinion mere trivia. Awakening of divine affection for Krishna proves worldly opinion mere trivia. Mugdam mam nigadantu niti nipuna brantam mohor vaidika mandam bandava sanchaya jaradiyam muktadara sodara unmatam danino viveka chatura kamam mahadambikam muktam nakshamate managapi mano govinda padaspriham. Spoken by Madhava. Don't know who that is. The expert moralists may say that I am deluded. The Vedic religionists may insist that I am misled, and my associates may condemn me as uncultured. My own brothers may disrespect me and call me an idiot. The wealthy may say I am mad, and the sharp-witted philosophers may severely criticize me as being a great egotist. Nevertheless, my heart cannot budge in the slightest degree from its aspiration to serve the lotus feet of Sri Govinda. Harirasa panamatanam janamata vichare navakasha. The people's opinion is of no consequence to the devotees absorbed in the ecstasy of service to Lord Hari. This is spoken by Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. Parivadatu jano yata tatayam nanamukara navayam vichara yamaha harirasa madira madati mata bhuvi vilutama natama nirvishama. The gossipers may slander us, but we shall not heed them. Completely intoxicated by drinking the wine of the ecstasy of Sri Hari's service, we shall dance, roll on the ground, and faint. Bahu manita dvaita nanda simhasanat rajarasa gana murtish charane luntana rupam atma-niksepah. Abdicating the much vaunted throne of monistic bliss, to cast oneself under the service of Sri Krishna, the embodiment of the divine ecstasy of Vrindavan, by rolling in the dust of his lotus feet. This is a very nice verse. Gurudev liked this verse, and several times I heard him quote this, by Bilva Mangal Thakur. Advaita viti patikeru pasya swananda simhasana labda diksha hatena kenapi vayam shatena dasi krita gopa vadu vitena. Although I am worshipable by the wanderers on the path of monism, and although I have received initiation into ascending the great throne of self-satisfaction, I have been forcibly converted into a maidservant by some deceitful paramour of the gopis. So I had this very high position on the monistic path, worshipable by others. But now, this deceitful paramour, this woman hunter, He's converted me forcibly into a maidservant of Vrindavan. But how happy I am about that. And Srila Gurudev, he compared this expression of Bilva Mangal Thakur to Prakashananda Saraswati, who is the leader of all the Mayavadis in Varanasi, and very proud, but Mahaprabhu just totally melted his heart, completely, broke his ego and brought him to this humble position. Because that's the power of this conception. If we allow it to exert itself, it's so beautiful and wonderful that you'll be happily humbled by it. In the same way that you'll be happily humbled by your adorable 3-year-old child or grandchild. You'll be brought to your knees doing the most ridiculous things for them, but happily, because it's such a wonderful and loving exchange that's going on there. So, we are all humbled by beauty. We are all humbled by love. And that is the power of the Krishna conception. And so, examples like this, someone who has this, proud and high position, in the face of this, all attractive charm and beauty, you're conquered, So Param Guru Maharaj's expression, beauty over power. Actually, beauty is a deeper power. Beauty is the greatest power to what, we will normally conceive of as power in this world. That's what's so nice in the Govardhan Leela, that juxtaposition of Indra and Lord Krishna. Indra is this great, powerful, almighty God of the heavens. Krishna is this charming little teenage cowherd boy, But who's more powerful, What is more power? What represents more power? What time do we have now? Okay, I can read 4 more verses. Oh wow, this verse is so wonderful. I was thinking about this verse yesterday. Anugraha nigraha vedena sevyanuraga eva Atma-niksepah. Genuine self-dedication is deep attachment for one's master, considering reward and punishment equally. Genuine self-dedication is deep attachment for one's master, considering reward and punishment equally. So this is, we're in this chapter, full self-surrender. So this is describing like the zenith point of such a mood. Reward and to be at that level of surrender where reward and punishment are seen on an equal level. You're being punished or you're being rewarded. It's the same because it's both grace. They're both grace. They're both expressions of grace. So to be able to see things in terms of that, free from any conception of individual, selfish ego, self-centered ego. It's a very high level of surrender. And this verse is by Srila Rupa Goswami, and this verse is so wonderful, and this verse is quoted many times by Srila Gurudev and Srila Sridhar Maharaj, and at the end of Sri Guru and His Grace, Srila Sridhar Maharaj is discussing this verse. Virachaya Mayidandam Dina Bandho Dayamba. This name, Dina Bandhu, is a very beautiful name for the Lord. It means friend of the fallen. There's a verse we'll come to in think it must be in the next chapter because we haven't heard it yet, where the devotee is expressing, hearing that you are Bhakta Vatsal, this is a friend for the Lord, a name for the Lord, friend of the devotees, then my heart trembles, because I'm not a devotee. But when I hear that you are Dina Bandhu, that you are the friend of the fallen, then I feel very encouraged, very enthusiastic. So here the Lord's being referred to in this way, as Dina Bandhu, as the friend of the fallen, of the needy, of the poor, of the destitute. Virachaya Mahidandam Dina Bandho Dayamba Gatir ihana bhavata kachid anya mamasti nipatatu shatakutir nirbaram vanavambast tadapi kila payoda stuyate chatakena. O friend of the needy, whether you chastise me or reward me, in the whole wide world I have no shelter but you. Whether the thunderbolt strikes or torrents of fresh waters shower down, the chatak bird, who drinks only the falling rainwater, perpetually goes on singing the glories of the rain cloud. O friend of the needy, whether you chastise me or reward me, in the whole wide world I have no other shelter but you. Whether the thunderbolt strikes or torrents of fresh waters shower down, the chatak bird, who drinks only the falling rainwater, perpetually goes on singing the glories of the rain cloud. So to illustrate this conception of Ananya Bhakti, of exclusive devotion, Srila Rupa Goswami is using this wonderful analogy of the chatak bird, a bird which is, it's described, which is, as having the nature, will only drink the fresh rainwater. Only that fresh falling rainwater coming from the sky. It will never take a drop of water from the ground. And not only that, but stuyate chatakena, that chatak bird is always singing the glories of the rain cloud. And sometimes that rain cloud is not giving any rain. Sometimes that rain cloud is giving, like some storm, which is troublesome. Or sometimes that rain cloud is giving some, gentle, appropriate rain. But in any case, that rain, that chatak bird has nothing to do, no other desire, and other than to glorify that rain cloud. So it is expressing very, very, deep feeling of mood of surrender. That, I am yours. I am here for you. I am your servitor. I'm dedicating everything for your satisfaction. What you do on your side, that's another thing. I'm not acting on the basis of of some material exchange. I give this and I'm expecting that. But I know my position is your servant and you're everything to me, and I'm giving everything for you. And what comes from your side, that's another thing. If you can it's your right to treat me however you like. And you can be rough with me, or you can be kind to me, But either way, I have nothing else to do. I'm not wavering in my mood of unconditional love and service, dedication. And this next verse here, which Param Guru Maharaj includes, this is the last verse of the Shikshashtakam. And they're like parallel verses. They're both expressing this ideal of full self-surrender in a very wonderful way. This point that the Lord may treat us however He likes, but we won't be moved in our, position of devotion and dedication. Vajrarasa lampatasya svaira chadeshvatma-niksepah paramodkarshaha. And the challenge is when that roughness or indifference we experience in so many indirect ways, in our daily lives. No, it's one thing if you have some, maybe like with the Guru or with a higher Vaishnava, you have some intimate relationship. If we have that, we're very fortunate, But because everything that's coming to us, it has the Lord's sanction behind it. And so to see behind everything that's coming to us in our daily lives, which causes to experience, like there's an indifference there, or there's unkindness there, apparently, to be able to see past that and to see actually the Lord is behind that, to see His connection there, and then thereby to consider that to be grace, because nothing's disconnected from Him. It all has His sanction, and so His grace is there. And so to be able to embrace whatever we face in that type of spirit, we can also apply this in that way, in that broad way. The acme of self-dedication is surrender to the whim of Sri Krishna, the paramour of Vrindavan. And so this is the last verse of Shikshashtakam, spoken by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Ashlishya paradatam pinashtumam adarshan marmahatam karotu va yata tata va vidadatu lampato mat prananatas tu sa eva napara. Krishna may warmly embrace this maidservant of his lotus feet, claiming me as his own, or he may break my heart by not appearing before me. He is wayward, and he may exploit me as he wishes, but he will always be the only Lord of my life. Krishna may warmly embrace this maidservant of his lotus feet, claiming me as his own, or he may break my heart by not appearing before me. He is wayward, and he may exploit me as he wishes, but he will always be the only Lord of my life. The Supreme Lord, Sri Chaitanya Chandra.
Knock.
Oh, Navasundar Prabhu is here.
Yes.
Happy birthday.
Happy
Thank
birthday.
you. Sorry, I got caught up. Birthday things.
Dandavat Ramananda. Mahodarya Leelamaya Sri Chaitanya Atma-niksepah Paramatvam. The dignity of casting oneself unto the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the hero in the divine pastimes of supreme magnanimity. The dignity, this is so beautiful, the dignity of casting oneself unto the lotus, because not that this puts one, in some lower position, to put ourselves in a position to be exploited, to be used by the Lord in some way. It's not that that's a low position. This is the most dignified position, And that was the expression of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, because they, in the Gaudiya Math, they were preaching in a very difficult environment. This is during the time of Gandhi's movement, the resistance to British rule, partition, all of these things are going on in the time of the Gaudiya Math. And they're coming and saying, these things are not that important. So you can imagine what kind of opposition they face. They're coming and trying to say, you are soul, you are spirit. This is more important. And there's all this, chaos and political stuff going on. So they faced some backlash because of that. And there was one challenge that somebody made, some criticism that, you're promoting slavery, actually, Jiver Srupa Hoy Krishna Nitya Das. You're preaching this, that you're all servant, that we're all servants, we're all slaves. And so these people express like, this isn't helpful, right now. We're trying to fight against slavery right now. We're under the British rule. We're fighting for independence, and you're coming and saying that we're slaves. And so Srila Saraswati Thakur, he addressed that in one lecture, and he said that this is the most dignified thing, to conceive of oneself as being a slave of the Absolute. That is the most dignified position to have. That is the highest position, most honorable position. That what was it he said, that we are not promoting slavery, but we are standing for the dignity of humankind, or something like that. We stand for the dignity of the human race. That's what this is. It's the most dignified position. And Srila Sridhar Maharaj, he noted too that around that same time that this came up, that Mahatma Gandhi had advertised for a personal assistant. And personal assistant, someone who's gonna maybe make some hot tea or organize your papers in your office, some secretary, humble secretary type job. Mahatma Gandhi advertised, and he was over flooded by all these applications, and not just by ordinary people, but professors and highly educated people throughout India. They were all scrambling for this position. And so Srila Sridhar Maharaj, he noted that, that we could appreciate that in relation to someone of this world. People are considering, Mahatma Gandhi, he's so great. If I could just have a position, a humble, secretary position there in his office, that'll be an upgrade for me. So then what to speak of the Supreme Lord? If people think of someone who they emulate in the world, and you admire them so much, you're ready to do anything for them, then just think of the Lord, the Absolute, then that's not a low thing. That's the most dignified position. So this is very nice. The dignity of casting oneself under the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the hero in the divine pastimes of supreme magnanimity, the Adarya Leela. And this verse is by Prabodhananda Saraswati. Patra patra vicharanam na kurute na swamvaram vikshate deya deya vimarshako ahinava kala pratiksha prabhu sadyo ya shavanikshana pranamana dhyana dina durlabam date bhakti rasam saeva bhagavan goda param megati. He makes no distinction. Now this is describing Mahaprabhu. Well, if it's Prabodhananda Saraswati, he's describing Mahaprabhu. He loves Mahaprabhu so much. He makes no distinction between the worthy and the unworthy, and he does not differentiate between himself and others. He does not consider who should be given to and who should not, and he makes no preparation for an auspicious or inauspicious moment. And he swiftly awards the rarest nectar of pure devotion, beginning with hearing about the Lord, beholding him, making obeisance unto him, and absorbing one's thoughts in him. That Supreme Lord, Gaur Hari, is my one and only shelter. He makes no distinction between the worthy and the unworthy, and he does not. And this is there's a line in Chaitanya Charitamrita which is a little similar to this, and it's the same words are patra patra vicharnai. Patra here is used in the sense of a recipient, like a pot that you'll receive in. So patra apatra, who's who's a suitable recipient who's not a suitable recipient. Vichar nahi, that's not being considered. That's not the program here. And what was it? Oh yes, de nahi stana stan. Patra patra vichar nahi. And saying in Chaitanya Charitamrita, who's a suitable recipient or who's an unsuitable recipient? What's the proper place? What's the improper place? Like, none of these things are being considered. This isn't Mahaprabhu's program. Shuddha Sarvapur used to quote that line a lot. Mercy of such a high degree, magnanimity of such a high degree. Who's qualified, who's unqualified, proper time, place, circumstance. And Gurudev had that mood. Like the way that Gurudev distributed Krishna consciousness, it was in the most magnanimous way. We don't even really get it because we don't have a reference point, But like in the way that he would give initiation, like it's told, you have to wait 6 months, the guru examines the disciple examines the guru, like this whole thing, But, Gurudev knows all of that, And it's not that he was just trying to promote himself, and acquire more disciples. It wasn't like that. It's earnestly, he was in this mood of extreme mercy, He was on this rescue mission. So like he mentioned some stories, like he was leaving the next morning. Someone comes to him at midnight, please give me initiation. Like comes and gets him up at midnight, begging for connection because he's leaving the next morning. It was in Caracas in Venezuela. And I think also he mentioned an airport incident, like just like this mood of extreme mercy. And and that weight comes on him, like people who aren't following, that to some degree, that weight comes upon him. All these people who he gave to him, and then if they're not following, so it's not, he wasn't. I heard of one occasion when Gurudev was hesitant, and it surprised me actually. It was someone who had some background of a cow slaughter, and they had actually received first initiation already from Srila Swami Maharaj Prabhupada, and they wanted second initiation from Gurudev, and I was surprised, and it shows really Gurudev's humility. Like he didn't feel he could digest that, like that level of sin of having. He had some business of involved with that of killing cows, and Gurudev felt unable to digest that level of sin, and he didn't say no. He left the door open, but what happened is there was nobody at that time to do because for second initiation you have to do the fire sacrifice, right? And so sometimes Gurudev he'll give second initiation, and then the fire sacrifice will be done later if there's nobody at that time to do it. So at that time in the mat there was nobody there, and so Gurudev said, well, normally Krishna Sharan, who later became Aranya Maharaj, he would do it. So Gurudev told him, well, if you like, I can do it now, but there's nobody here to do the fire sacrifice, so we'll have to schedule that at a later time. So it's up to you, We could just do it separately, or just leave it for now and do it another time. And so he, that man, he thought, and he decided to leave it, but Gurudev, he said, Guru Maharaj changed his mind. like Guru Maharaj was saving me. Guru Maharaj influenced him. So I was surprised that Gurudev felt, because, from the most extreme angle of vision, no sin matters. The only thing that really matters is Vaishnava Aparad. But Gurudev showed that level of humility. Like, I don't think I have enough, spiritual capacity to handle this, Which is sobering, because we can get carried away sometimes. Oh, I can do anything and everything, it's for Krishna, And people have done all kinds of things, and, in the name of that, you know, drug dealing and all kinds of things, you know. Oh, it's for Krishna seva, you know, then it's okay, you know. And we can, and you know, in little ways, you know, we may start to think like that. Oh, it's for Krishna, I can do whatever I want, you know. But that's dangerous, you know. And I was impressed. Even Gurudev was feeling that caution, you know. That, you know, I can't digest that. That, you know, that type of energy. And Acharya Maharaj, he mentioned how in Bengal there's some system where the government will take, and not really sure what the reasoning is behind it, the reason for it. They'll take the fish from various ponds, you know, throughout the region, and then they'll sell that. I'm not exactly sure what the purpose is. I don't remember. But anyhow, so our mat, right? We have that Govinda Kund that has fish, and so I think like once a year they would do it. They'd come and take a lot of the fish, and then they'd give some money for that. And so Acharya Maharaj discussed this with Gurudev, and Gurudev told him that money you have to use directly for the Diti Seva, because there's some sin there. You know, that those fish are going to be killed and eaten. You know, there's some sin. So, you know, we can't just use that for anything, because then we're taking that on ourselves. It's a heavy energy there. And also there was some case with Srila Sridhar Maharaj where he was involved with a business, like a food business, and also the killing of cows. And Srila Sridhar Maharaj, he said something like that money has to go directly to me, you know, and I'll manage that, you know. And he was, Trivikram Maharaj can say the details of that. I don't remember the details, but he expressed a lot of care, you know, with that. So, you know, we have to be careful in all of these things, you know. So, you know, some reservations, and some, we're talking about Gurudev's distribution of mercy, you know, some reservations in some cases, but very rarely. You know, I think that's the only case I've heard. I mean, there are some other examples, you know, like you know, some persons who couldn't follow. I mean, Gurudev, he would adjust according to the person, actually, and like, you know, like one person, he told Gurudev, you know, like in terms of, I don't know if I should say all this in public.
That's right.
I mean, I think it's okay. You know? Okay, let's just say there's one extreme case where Gurudev allowed a particular group to not follow a strictly vegetarian diet. Let's just say it like that, you know, because of their particular circumstances. But in other cases, absolutely not, you know. Like there was someone in Italy who told Gurudev, you know, I want to take initiation, but I can't stop eating fish. And Gurudev said, no, you know, you should be serious enough that, you know. But in this like one particular case, you know, he adjusted that because of that particular, you know, situation and the nature of those persons. You know, like in the mood of Saraswati Thakur, adjusting things in a very broad way. So, you know, very extreme level of magnanimity and giving initiation to children, you know, to 5-year-olds, to 6-year-olds, you know. He's not doing that for his own pratishtha, for his own promotion. He's doing that out of extreme mercy. And so then we have the responsibility to really appreciate the value of that, you know, to feel the responsibility of that, that he's extended this level of mercy. I don't want to let him down. I don't want to cheat him. You know, I don't want to cheat him. Srila Saraswati Thakur, and Gurudev, he appreciated that expression. It was his first world tour. It was the last day of his first visit to Australia, which was the first stop on the first world tour. It was quite a significant talk. But Gurudev expressed this in this like heart-rending way. Like he said it in an indirect way, because Gurudev was always so humble in how he presented things. But it like indirectly he was saying, don't cheat me, you know. Like I'm coming here giving everything to you. Please don't cheat me, you know. Please try to understand, you know, what I'm doing. He quoted, he was quoting Srila Saraswati, because it was a famous expression of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur that he was expressing to the public after Gaur Purnima celebration. Everyone came for the celebration. Then after the week-long festivities, they're going home, and this was just before Srila Sridhar Maharaj took initiation. And this was actually what prompted him to take initiation, because it was so powerful and so heart-touching. Because Srila Sridhar Maharaj had been associating for about a year. But it was when he heard this that it all clicked. And so Saraswati Thakur, these people were coming, like saying goodbye and going. And Srila Saraswati Thakur made this very earnest expression, don't cheat me. You know, you all came here and you made some promise that you will serve Krishna. And now you're going to go home and you're going to forget about that. Don't cheat me. You know, please remember this. And you can tell me, oh, there's a fire on at my home. I just have to go and put that out. And I'll come back. And I will say to you, even if the whole world is on fire, still there's nothing more important than this. You know, all your needs will be met by this. You know, by Krishna Anushilanam, the cultivation of Krishna consciousness. And so in this talk in Australia, Gurudev, he like in this humble way, like quoting Saraswati Thakur, you know. I'm remembering Prabhupada's expression, and he said it in Bengali, and then Gurudev said, he said, promise me in front of the deity. He said, promise me in front of Mahaprabhu that you will not stop practicing Krishna consciousness no matter what. You know, promise me in front of Mahaprabhu, like with your hand on the Bible, you know, like the Christian equivalent, like wow. Promise me in front of Mahaprabhu, and he was saying that's what initiation is. Initiation is a promise that no matter what happens, you won't stop practicing Krishna consciousness. So like when Gurudev says these kind of things, it's heavy, you know, like wow. And that was actually something like in my years in India, that was something that kind of made an impression on my heart, like how Gurudev gave so much, and he loved the devotees so much, and yet we see so many who like let him down, you know, like he had some expectations of them. And they couldn't live up. They, you know, I mean, it's one thing to not be able to live up to, but you know, there are some cases like people just totally like left the path or totally rejected. But like from Gurudev's side, like how much love and how much energy he gave, like to nourish those devotees. And that was something that made an impression, like observing this, you know, like he gave like cent per cent. He gave his blood. He gave his life air to nourish the devotees in Krishna consciousness. And so that was something that really made an impression on me. Like, I don't want to let him down. You know, like, I don't want to be somebody else who's let him down. You know, like, he's giving his whole life for us. And at least we can try to do this little something, you know. mean, like, sometimes it would just blow my mind, like how much love he could show, like, for ordinary practitioner, you know, like how much love was in his heart. We you know, we're like very mean persons with our tight hearts, you know, we can't really appreciate it. We just have like a glimpse, you know. Gurudev and Srila Sri Maharaj, you know, devotees of that level, like what an extreme degree of love they had. And you know, whatever like service anybody would do, Gurudev remembered it, you know, like for years afterwards, he would remember that, you know, and those, you know, like exchanges he would have with the devotees, you know, he like for years later, years afterwards, he would remember that. Subhasini Didi, she, and this is very, very like extraordinary thing, a very heart-touching thing. She's a devotee in Ireland. She told me how she had this, like she told me about like the first meeting she had with Gurudev. They had some particular exchange. This is like 93 or something like that. And then her very last meeting with Gurudev, maybe it was like 2008 or something like that. So this is like 15 years later or something. It was their last meeting. And Gurudev, of course, he knows it. She doesn't know. We don't know. But Gurudev knew it was the last. And he made a reference to the exchange that they'd had in that very first meeting. Like so many years. She was completely astonished, you know. Like how he remembers that, you know. And she's not, you know, one of the big sannyasis or like, you know, big names in the mission, you know. But she had a genuine, like, heart exchange with Gurudev, and that was meaningful to him. And he's remembering that so many years later, you know. And, you know, different examples of that. And one of his disciples who was an important servitor for many years and then unfortunately became very troublesome and created a lot of trouble for Gurudev. Gurudev, he mentioned, you know, like he did this, there was one particular service, like Gurudev was very, very ill and this servitor cared for him in such a loving way and such an attentive way, and Gurudev would remember that, like he did that for me, you know, like I can't forget that, you know, that service that he did. Like Gurudev expressed, you know, if anyone will do some service for my Guru Maharaj, if anyone does even a little service for my Guru Maharaj, I consider myself to be their slave. And that wasn't just, you know, like, you know, lip service. That was like really his feeling. Deep feeling, you know, such a great depth of heart. There was Janardhan Maharaj, he told of this exchange he had with Gurudev, where Janardhan Maharaj and Jamuna Priya, they had some argument or something. And so Janardhan Maharaj was a little upset, and maybe he mentioned something to Gurudev, or maybe Gurudev overheard it or something. But Gurudev said to Janardhan Maharaj with tears in his eyes, you know, she's so dedicated to my health. You know, she's so dedicated to my health. With tears in his eyes, he said that. And I'm remembering one story Tirtha Maharaj told me about Srila Sri Maharaj that touched me so much. It was, I don't want to mention the name, but one servitor of Srila Sri Maharaj who caused so much trouble, you know, in later years for Gurudev, for the Mat. But he was like a personal servant for Srila Sridhar Maharaj for some time, and and Srila Sridhar Maharaj loved him, and he'd known him since he was a boy. He'd been living in the Mat for so long, but he left the Mat at one time because of some argument or something. This person left the Mat, and Srila Sridhar Maharaj was so sad, because he had such love for him. And Sridhar Maharaj told me he came out at one time. He had that bridge, his room, and then the bridge, and then there was the roof of the Nat Mandir. And so he came out on the bridge, calling out the name of this person. And then not only that, now I'm remembering what Sridhar Maharaj told me. Srila Sridhar Maharaj quoted this verse, this fundamental verse, Tat te nu kampam susamikshamano bunjane vatma-niksepah. This verse, we've been, maybe you don't remember the Sanskrit, we've been discussing this a lot. This very famous, important verse saying that we will, the progressive, person will consider that whatever trouble is coming to them is a result of their own karma and is actually the grace of the Lord. So this was Srila Sridhar Maharaj's mood. What type of intense love he had in his heart. He was feeling such pain that he was trying to adjust it with this verse. Like this is due to my own fault. This is actually the Lord's grace trying to adjust me, giving me this pain, this heartbreak. I just my head was totally blown when I heard that. I was just it's a new level, And who was it for? Somebody who caused a lot of trouble. We know their nature and what they did to Gurudev, and we've seen what their character is. But Srila Sridhar Maharaj was seeing in this very merciful and loving mood, we just get some glimpse, into the hearts, the profundity of the hearts, the love of these kind of Vaishnavas. And so then, we can do something, to reciprocate, Let us try to reciprocate just a little bit, Let us at least just try to stick on the path, Because of what they're extending to us from their side, we can do a little bit, If for nothing else other than their love. Personally, I'm really going off today. What time is it? It must be because of duty, Krishna.
I love it. It's great.
But for myself, that's what keeps me going. Gurudev's love, Not because I'm such a realized, advanced person in Krishna consciousness, but remembering how much he loves me. And then, I owe it to him. I gotta do this, and I gotta realize the meaning of the significance of all this, because he's expecting that. And, his love is there. So out of love for him, what else can I do? If I really have some kind of love for him, then... And Mahaprabhu, he makes that expression when he leaves to take sannyas, when he leaves Navadvip to take sannyas. Well, you came late as well, so it works out. We can't just finish when you're arriving.
I'm sorry.
No, I'm saying it's a good thing. Because we're extending the class because you came late. Mahaprabhu, when he's leaving Navadvip to take sannyas, and it's his last night in Navadvip, and all of his devotees, nobody knows, only a few know, but they all come kind of spontaneously to see him by this heart pull. And there's this profound exchange where they all come with these garlands. It's also a festival day, Lakshmi Puja, so there is some reasoning behind it. but they all come with these gifts from Mahaprabhu, with these flower garlands, and they all described how they all, Srila Maharaj describes it in Golden Volcano, they're all garlanding Mahaprabhu, and then Mahaprabhu is taking off the garland and garlanding them, and then he tells them, Jadi Prati Sneha, it's in Chaitanya Bhagavat. Mahaprabhu tells them, if you have any love for me, take the name of Krishna. And that it's there that he makes this expression. I think it's there, ki shayane, ki bhojane, whatever you're doing, whatever you're eating, whether you're asleep, whether you're awake, remember Krishna. Krishna Mata, Krishna Pita, Krishna Pranadam. Krishna is your mother, Krishna is your father, Krishna is your life and your soul, your heart. Always remember Krishna. If you have any love for me, always take the name of Krishna. Always remember Krishna. Always serve Krishna. But he says it in that way. Like, if you really love me, then this is what I expect from you. Not just like, I love you and you love me and that's it. No, then this is the level of love that I'm expecting. This is how you will express it. So in the same way, for anyone who has some type of attachment for Gurudev, then this is how we can actually demonstrate it, by going deeper. And I appreciated Shuddha Prabhu. He made that. Shuddha Prabhu, he took sannyas after Gurudev left the world, and he said, after Gurudev left, my first inclination was to go down, like just, to hell with everything, like that was his first inclination. But then he thought, if I want to go, if I want my relationship with Gurudev to remain strong, to go deeper, then I need to go deeper into Krishna consciousness. I need to make a new level of sacrifice. That's how we can come closer. That's how we can connect more deeply. So in this spirit, we're trying to go out every day. And he's waiting for us, he's waiting for us. But we have to do the work. Okay, well, we can stop there. I don't think I finished this. I don't think I finished this verse, actually. He makes no distinction between the worthy and the unworthy, and he does not differentiate. Oh, and I'm just remembering, I'm thinking of examples of Gurudev's love. Jagadananda Prabhu told me some really sweet stories. There was one exchange he had with Gurudev. I think it was that he donated for this bell. There was a new bell in Govardhan, and I think Jaganandru had donated for it. And then Gurudev made some comment like, every time I hear the bell, then I'm thinking of you. It was something like that. And he told me of this other time that he called Gurudev, and Sagar Maharaj answered the phone. And Sagar Maharaj, understandably, he's trying to, not wanting to give Gurudev too much, to deal with, and so Sagar Maharaj was having some exchange with Jagadananda. He didn't immediately hand the phone, and then Gurudev overheard, who's that? And it's Jagadananda. Oh, give me the phone, give me the phone, and then Gurudev said to him, morning shows the day. Maybe that was the first thing he said. No. First he said you've called me on. No, today is a very. The Gurudev said today is a very happy day, and a very auspicious day. And then Jagadananda felt a little worried, oh man, is it some holy day? And I haven't checked the calendar. I should know this one. And then Jagadananda says, oh yes, Gurudev. Oh man, I'm in it. And Gurudev said, yes, because you've called me. Because morning shows the day and you've called me, so this is a very happy day. It's such sweetness, and intimacy. It's just incredible, you know. He makes no distinction between the worthy and the unworthy, and he does not differentiate between himself and others. He does not consider who should be given to and who should not, and he makes no preparation for an auspicious or inauspicious moment, and he swiftly awards the rarest nectar of pure devotion, beginning with hearing about the Lord, beholding him, making obeisance unto him, and absorbing one's thoughts in him. That Supreme Lord, Gaur Hari, is my one and only shelter. Sri Prapanna desires. Iti Sri Prapanna-jivanamrtam, Sri Bhakta-vachanamritam Targata, Atma-niksepah nama saptamo jaya. Thus ends the 7th chapter. Full self-surrender, words of nectar from the devotees, and life nectar of the surrendered souls. Positive and progressive immortality. Okay, better stop there or we won't stop anytime. Any last closing comments or anything? Happy to be here with our beloved God brothers and God sisters in Canberra, faithful followers on the path that our Gurudev has laid out for us. Jai Srila Bhakti Sundar Gurudev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sri Gurudev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Shri Rupanuga Guru Varga Ki Jai. Shri Jishanu Saraswati Ki Jai. All the assembled devotees Ki Jai. All the world devotees Ki Jai. Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande.
Vivo.